Hello and welcome to For Your Journey. On this episode, we have our first For Your Journey episode with District Apostle Schnabel. We're going to find out a little bit about who he is and what is his strategy. Yeah, so this is your first time doing a For Your Journey in the studio. We have quite a few episodes in our library, and now we have an opportunity to meet you. You've been District Apostle for a few months now. So we wanted to kind of give our members, our viewers, the opportunity to learn a little bit more about you, and also what is your plan, kind of what's your strategy for the church and the Lord's work that you're now a steward of in your new capacity.
Thanks, Travis. I have to say, before we get to strategy, it probably does give a little bit of background. Goes a long way. So I previously was an apostle for just a short amount of time, and before that really had spent a rather long time as a district rector of the New York area. And I would say that, like most of us who have been in the church all our lives, there are definitely formational parts along the way. I would say that probably from how do I manage things going forward was the most formational. It was a time where I got to invest in a group of different congregations, disparate groups of members, and really the melting pot of New York was a good learning environment for me. So with that perspective, really a little bit closer to the congregation, perhaps I was also a rector at that time, and so kind of bring that lens to things. And so, from a strategic standpoint, and I want this to be an overly business discussion because, like business people, I was a business person, you make your plans, and unfortunately sometimes you think that you control all things, and that is a mirage. And in the Lord's work, obviously the Lord is doing everything. But so far, I would say, given the direction that we've received from our chief apostle in Buffalo, the strategy formula seems to be forward together. And that was, as you know, at the Synod, what we had used as our banner. And it implies where we're going, which is forward. It also implies that we've come from somewhere. I think our District Apostle Kolb and continue to work forward, and now we will continue in that direction as the Lord leads. But the together part was quite intentional. And I think what we'd like to work on is really formulating ways that our Christian relationships grow deeper. We formulate a oneness and a unity that's stronger than ever before. And we have to do that together. We emerge out of the time of COVID, and COVID brought individuality to an extreme place. Yeah. And maybe for some of us, maybe some of us liked it, I don't know, but many of us started to realize we need to be together. Yeah. And so I think it's actually natural, even coming out of that environment, that we stress how we want to do things together. We have the mission statement, we have the vision statement of the church, and it's what we do and how we do it. But how we do it, that's really the culture of our church, and that's what we really need to work on, our relationships.
Yeah, that's interesting. COVID kind of heightened and a lot of isolation and individualism, like you're talking about. Everyone was kind of alone or with the smaller group of their bubble or whatever. And now not only do we want to be together, but like you're jumping on this word here about forward. Forward implies direction, and in order to have a direction, you got to know where you're going. And you highlighted very specifically not just relationships, but Christian relationships. Christ is always the unifying factor, and it's where we're going to become deeper in his, in our understanding of him, deeper in our understanding and experience of his love and his grace and peace, all of that. Like he's our direction. He's woven into the mission and vision, the international statements about learning and teaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. So that's kind of the driving force, you're saying, of our forward together strategy.
From a cultural standpoint, I think you're putting your finger on it. We want it to be Christ-centric. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to be successful, I don't know if that means in my tenure that the work is going to grow. I would hope so. That would be nice. Mm-hmm. But that's not really our mission. Our chief apostle, not too long ago, he kind of pointed to this. He says, we make Christians. We bring in our everyday life the kingdom into people's lives. That's what we do. And if they come into the circle of the congregation, they should feel like this is no other place that I know. If they actually come into our doors, they don't have to fight. They don't have to be wondering if anyone cares. They literally should come into an environment where Jesus reigns and we worship the Lord. And if we do that, I mean, it has a lot of implications, right? We have to kind of get along, things like that. And then, do they want to come forward with us? The journey to home. We're not home yet. We're not home. We have elements of it. We have beautiful moments at the altar. We have Holy Communion, and we have a foretaste. But we are not completely home, and the Lord is bringing us there. And so this journey, by definition, is not getting information about the church and who we are. It's about formation. It's about being formed in the image of the Lord Jesus. It comes with challenges, but if we can do that, if people come into our church and say, oh, but the Lord has to be here, then we did it.
We want them to experience Christ,
Mm-hmm.
And I think you highlighted this phrase from the chief apostles from an interview. I think
Yes, right.
Years back, he says the goal of the church is to make disciples, not necessarily members of the church.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that they become members of the church, but that's not the primary goal. The primary goal is disciples, and they feel that in the fellowship of believers. They feel that in the preached word. They feel that in the sacraments, and that's where they feel I've experienced Christ in this place and in this community here. So, I think those are great guiding principles and strategic elements for going forward together. So, thank you for bringing some clarity for that. And we can put the link to that interview with the Chief Apostle, that article from a few years back. That'll be in the description of our show notes there. And thank you for joining us on this episode of For Your Journey.